Max Ehrich is speaking out on Instagram following his split with Demi Lovato, and we're breaking down all the details he's shared. Hey guys, welcome back to another Shared News from Home. We have so many updates for you guys on Demi and Max's split, but before we get into it, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring, and I'm joined by the wonderful, the hilarious Tyler Joseph.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. So I say, let's just dive right in because there is truly so much to discuss. First things first, you guys, in case you aren't up to date, I'm going to give you some background on their split. So Max proposed to Demi just 4 months after their relationship began in March. A source told People magazine it was a tough decision, but Demi and Max have decided to go their separate ways to focus on their respective careers. They have respect and love for one another and will always cherish the time they spent together. Fans began to speculate that their relationship may be in trouble after members of Demi's inner circle unfollowed Max on social media, and what appeared to be old tweets of his proclaiming his love for other celebrities like Selena Gomez resurfaced, and that was a whole moment on Twitter. A source recently told E! News, quote, "People close to Demi have expressed that they are worried and hesitant about Max." And another source explained that Demi realized she, quote, "didn't know who Max truly was and didn't think he had good intentions." Demi has not spoken out publicly about the split, but she has posted photos on her Instagram story without her engagement ring. So that is the sort of sad general news, in case you guys have missed it. Tyler, I know you've been keeping up with this. What are your thoughts? Are you surprised? Are you sad? How are you feeling?
It's tough because I, of course, have never been in a limelight position like Demi. So when, of course, I heard of the engagement, I was like, that's quick. But ultimately, it was sort of COVID, I think, has sped everything up. A lot of quality time, maybe it feels like a relationship is accelerated when you're spending so much time. So I was like, I'm not quick to judge. I've heard of plenty of relationships that can be successful, and maybe when you know, et cetera, et cetera. But I was just bummed. Right. I mean, I have, of course, been a fan of Demi Lovato since we were kids, Fiona. I mean, absolute Disney star. Loved her, loved Studying with a Chance, Camp Rock. I mean, you name it. I'm Princess Protection Program. Are you kidding me? So, and then just watching her kind of go through the life she has led. I mean, her bouts with addiction, her incredible music career. That is, I mean, some of her music is some of my all-time favorite. I mean, I listen to it constantly. And then to know that she has to go through something like this. I mean, no relationship is fun to break off, especially one that was where there was a ring involved. So I don't know. Surprised. I don't know if surprised is the word, but sad is definitely the word. I don't know. But what about you? What do you think?
Oh, I mean, my heart just breaks for her. I think there's something to be said about like the spectacle of celebrity engagement, celebrity breakups. Like, we're all so guilty of it. It's just, we're bored in our own lives. And so we latch on to like what's going on with people we care about in the public eye. And I know like Kim Kardashian's super short marriage, Ariana Grande's short engagement, like these are such crazy, wild, scandalous stories that they're always so interesting. But at the end of the day, it is just sad because someone is sitting around heartbroken or devastated or upset or angry, whatever the emotion is behind it, but to the point of breaking off an engagement. So definitely don't want to dissect all of the ins and outs of it without putting that sort of upfront. We, of course, our hearts go out. Very sad. But now let's get into the tea.
Let's get back into it. Let's get back into the tea. Yes, Fiona. Well, to make matters a little bit worse, since the news broke of their split, Max has hopped on social media, which is always, that's a bad sentence to begin any sort of phrase. He's going on social media to share some really cryptic posts and his own messages about the breakup. He initially shared some simple religious messages like Jesus loves you, some anti-bullying messages, and some behind the scenes of his latest project. And then he addressed the split directly, writing, quote, "Imagine finding out the status of your relationship through a tabloid while you're in the middle of filming a biopic movie about a pastor in a Christian church whose intention of the film is to help people." A source shut down this narrative, telling E! quote, "Demi did tell him beforehand. Max is, quote, just trying to stay relevant." her family thinks he is crazy and is so relieved she has taken this step. Max doubled down on this story, writing, quote, "I was on the set of my new movie, Southern Gospel, with crew and cast members right next to me who literally watched me open my phone, where I then opened a tabloid." And then, quote, "This is the God's honest truth of how I found out about the ending of the engagement." The actor continued, quote, "And have people from my film who saw the whole thing go down and helped me get back into character to continue my job." He also made the claim on his Instagram story, so multiple social media platforms. So, oh, please, if my future fiance is watching this and something happens, please stay off social media. But he told his Instagram story on Sunday that they haven't, quote, "officially ended anything to each other." He wrote, quote, "Up to this moment, we haven't spoke over the phone. I'm here in real time with y'all. I love Demetria and just want her to be healthy and safe." He then appealed to Demi directly, adding, "If you're reading this, I love you always, unconditionally, no matter what." So lots of information obviously just thrown at you, Fiona, but what are we thinking? What are we thinking of all this? What do you think about having raw emotions and then expressing them on social media? Not to lead the witness, but what do you think about that?
Okay, so here's the thing. I totally agree with you. From the moment you said he took to his social media, it's just like,
It's like,
things are getting
cringe, yeah.
messy. It's so hard. Of course, Demi hasn't spoken out directly, as is her right. She doesn't owe anyone anything until she's ready, if she ever is ready. But because it's like sources are speaking on her behalf and he's hopping on Instagram to share things, it's really turned into like a he said versus sources said versus what fans have investigated. It's kind of gone off the rails. And you know what? I just think that there's, of course, no way of knowing, unless you are Demi Lovato, exactly what happened, exactly why she made this choice, exactly why she did what she did. But I think you put it best. If I ever have an engagement breakup, this is some behavior I would be very, very disappointed to see, right? Like,
absolutely. I mean,
just
heartbreak is enough. Heartbreak is enough.
Yeah.
And then the public eye just in on it. I mean, I was just, this is sort of a tangent, but I was just rereading Amy Poehler's like sort of book, her memoir, like Yes, Please. And she sort of very tiptoes around her own divorce and just how difficult it is to break up with someone and be a public figure. And I just can't help but think of that in this moment. I mean, you said sitting there alone in heartbreak, like two people are very much experiencing heartbreak right now. And then to exacerbate it with all of this, and Demi obviously doesn't want to speak publicly, but I mean, she's being taunted by, I'm sure, the entire press to be like, what is her take on everything? I, of course, again, wish her the best and hope that she can just stay off of her phone and just be with people she loves right now. Like, woof.
Oh my God, I totally agree. Over the weekend, Max followed up with some more posts. He did write, "I am not interested in attention," which is interesting. He said, "I am interested in doing my art. Please leave me be and let me focus on my film. God bless." He continued, "If you're going to preach about anti-bullying, why would you allow someone you love to be bullied by your fans? For what? Telling the truth." That one's clearly directed at Demi. In a since deleted Insta story post, he also shared, "Please stop trying to thank you next me," which is a phrase I didn't know we were using, but I like it. Sort of a little homage to Ariana Grande, of course. He said, "For I am just a human being who has to go to work tomorrow morning, where there are families with kids relying on me. Thanks, God bless." So of course, I think the question that comes to mind is like, how does Demi feel about this? Again, she hasn't spoken out, but a source did tell E! quote, "Demi wants no contact with Max at this point. She's completely embarrassed at the way he's been acting and putting their relationship on blast via social media. She wants nothing to do with him." The source adds that Max has tried to reach out to Demi and says he's in denial that their engagement is over. Demi has been spending a lot of time with her family and friends to help heal from this, and they are all keeping her occupied and rallying around her. So that is, of course, from a source, but I would love to believe that that's true. I hope that this source is truly an insider because, I mean, you really need friends and family by your side to get through a breakup. I think that, Tyler, I need to know, I'm dying to know your thoughts on the "I'm not interested in attention, I'm interested in doing my art," because we, of course, like, I think it's so obvious. Demi's fans, anyone who's like a loyal stan of someone wants to hop in there, wants to hop to her defense. So there is a good chance that he's experienced some hate, right? Which is of course not okay. But he did take to his social media. So he is, I don't know. What do you think? I think he's interested in a little bit of attention.
I mean, it's just very contradictory. Of course, who am I to judge? I've never gone through anything like this. But what I will say is that any tragedy, and I do really believe that a split is a tragedy, and so, I mean, it's heartbreak. I mean, that is tragic. Should remain private if both think that, or at least one person thinks that it should be remained private. If both are like, you know what, let's just talk about this publicly, then sure. Clearly, Demi does not want to address this publicly. I mean, after everything that's gone down, he will not stop. And it just makes him look worse, in my opinion. And of course, I mean, exactly what you said. I think fandoms are passionate, to say the least. And I know Demi has a pretty sizable one. And of course, I'm not a fan of, I mean, even if someone's acting sort of inappropriately, which you can argue if Max is doing that, but to kind of exactly go on his social media platforms, spread hate, say really nasty things, that I'm sure cannot be easy for anyone to kind of to go through. I mean, that's so tough. But at the same time, I just think if I were in his publicity team, if I were a friend of his, I think I'd be like, hey, even if your intentions aren't this, you're making yourself maybe look worse. And clearly you have a big project that you keep talking about on social media and how you just want to go back to work. The answer for you is go off social media if you want to focus on your work. Clearly you will not be able to focus if Demi Lovato's fans are coming after you on several social media platforms. It just seems so obvious to me that just put your phone away. But I don't know, maybe that's harder for someone else to grasp. That's my sort of twingy, sort of shady, judgmental take on it all. But I don't know, even though I've never met Demi Lovato, I just feel for her in this situation. Anyone that's gone through heartbreak, I'm sure can understand at least a little bit what's going on. But what are you sort of thinking? I know we've touched on it, but what are you thinking?
I'm thinking, honestly, I feel like this is a very unfortunate story. My heart goes out to Demi. I totally agree with you. If I was Max's friend in this situation, I would have advised, perhaps some different steps. But there is, of course, no way to tell someone how to grieve, how to experience something.
Course,
so
right.
Whatever their journey is, I really ultimately, I'm a fan of Demi's. I just want her to be okay. All of the stories coming out about this split, I just really hope that I hope she gets through it. I know she will. I believe in her. It's been a rough year. Yeah. It's been a rough year on so many fronts. And this is just sort of another bullet point on the list of reasons why 2020 has been a heavy year.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, Fiona.
All right, you guys. Well, on that perhaps depressing note, these stories are never fun. We don't want to leave you on a negative note, but that is everything we have to share with you guys for now. We, of course, want to know your thoughts on the split, on Max's Instagram presence, on all of the rumors. So do let us know down in the comments what you guys are thinking. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell because we will keep you updated as this crazy story continues to develop. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring. You can follow me on socials at Fiona Zaring. And Tyler, where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at TylerJoe33 and on TikTok at TylerJosephEllis.
Amazing. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.
See ya.